When I talk to the technical person, they clearly understand this is not a hygiene thing.
Okay.
This is how do I do business.
Okay.
Even a low-cost, relatively simplistic instrument, if that's in a test set that's testing an electronic warfare module, do you want that to not be taken care of, or do you want to make sure that that's done correctly?
Okay.
If your measurements are important to you, or that even simple piece of equipment is in the path of doing a very complex measurement or testing something that's very important, then obviously it's not just a hygiene thing. Now, when we talk to some other customers, and it's true, there are some, if it's a relatively low complexity instrument, you're basically just trying to make sure, am I moving in the right direction? Are there opportunities to say, well, do I need to do something really complex with that from a support standpoint? Likely not. But that's the dialogue that we actually have with customers. When I said before, how do we support them? How do we make them successful? We actually talk to them, how are you using the equipment? It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not, no matter what piece of equipment you have and no matter what you're doing, you treat it the same. You have the dialogue about what are you doing, how do we make you more successful, and then from that develop what are the ideas. So let me give you another specific example that I think that we do that I don't see others doing in India. Downtime, again, it's kind of as I mentioned about the 5G stuff, having to move outside of the country. That doesn't work for customers, right? When you have a complex process that you're working through, you're developing something, and all of a sudden now you've got 3 to 6 weeks of downtime because of having to take something out for calibration. That's difficult. So what we have is we now have teams that will go on site, go to you as a customer, we're going to come onto your site, we're going to do the calibration at your site, and we're going to do all of it at one time. Now you as a customer, you can really plan for that. You know it's coming, you know when it's going to happen, and we do it all in one short time frame so that they minimize that downtime. Again, thinking about how does a customer want to be supported to be able to achieve their goal. Yes, they do. At the same time, they are very complex electronic instruments. And while it's likely working well, how do you know? We do have some products, by the way, that do some self-cal and do some self-alignment. But in terms of the full calibration, no. At least today, most companies abide by some governmental body that says you have to have a calibration with a certificate that wouldn't be able to provide. However, we are thinking down that direction. How do we get there? Could we put something like that together that would also then even be able to print out some sort of certificate saying, hey, this instrument has done some sort of self-calibration. But what we're doing today is kind of, I'll say, baby steps in that direction. So we in fact just released a product not too long ago, another service product that we call Asset Advisor. Asset Advisor.
Okay.
Yeah. And essentially what it does is one of the things that customers sometimes have a hard time with, we have a lot of our larger customers have thousands or tens of thousands of test assets. It can be very difficult for them to keep track of those assets. Literally just where are they? Who's using them? One of the biggest ones though is how much is it being used? Okay, so imagine you've spent millions or tens of millions or hundreds of millions on test assets over the years, yet you're buying more because somebody says, I need a new spectrum analyzer, but you already have 30 spectrum analyzers on your site. If you only knew where they were and how much they're being used and who has it, you could probably do a better job of saying, maybe we already have one that we could reuse. So this service, again, it's OEM agnostic. You can put equipment from any OEM into this system. We can track who in your facility has it. We can track where it is, but even more importantly, we can track the utilization of that. And I'm talking about real utilization, not in the past it was utilization maybe is it turned on or off, right? Or I walk by and I see it's powered on, somebody must be using it. Well, a lot of times it's not. People just leave them powered on. So now we can actually track real utilization. And from that, then we're helping business managers make a better decision, right? So again, you as a procurement manager, or maybe you're managing a department, you have a limited capital budget, and somebody comes to you and says, I need to buy, a long list of things. You don't have enough capital to buy all those. Maybe you can substitute something that you already own in a couple places, and that helps you meet the rest of your needs with your capital budget. So it's an IoT-based product. I would say it's not typically a university. It's a lot of times it's more of a technical school, if you will. And we do have those relationships in a number of places around the globe. Many times, actually, they're near these larger hubs. And the reason I say that is because those larger hubs have more of a need to be hiring people on a regular basis. We do have a lot of just need because another thankful thing, we're growing, and so that means you need to have more people. And so we have relationships with some of those. Sometimes they come in as an intern, so like maybe they've done their first year of school, they come in as an intern. That's a great benefit for them. They make some money, they get to see how real business works, but we get to evaluate them, and we get to see how they are doing. If they're doing great, then we make them an offer, and if not, then we keep working that with the school. We are moving down that path, and we see that it is going to continue to move that direction. We're working with customers who have different testing areas, whether it's EMC or digital testing, where they're saying, look, my job is to design the next, whatever it is, whatever their product is. But testing, along the way, I'd love for you to actually come in and provide that. And so we're having those dialogues on an ongoing basis. Those deep relationships that we've built over the years are really helping us to move down that path. If you think about service, it's kind of a different animal. What I mean by that is our customers want to be supported locally, right? So if you think about it, right, nobody wants to be able to say, just like people in India don't want to say, hey, can you ship my whatever it is somewhere else? Nobody else is going to want to say, hey, can you ship my stuff to India, right? So what we've done in KEYSIGHT is if you look at, let's say, the Americas, or you look at Europe, we have some relatively large hubs where we can have the most deep level of knowledge, expertise, and testing ability, if you will. You cannot afford to put that in every country, right? And so we do have some what we call large hubs where we do that. In addition, though, then we say, okay, what markets do we need to also additionally serve? And India is one of those. So it's not a large hub, doesn't serve stuff outside of India, but it's one of the geographies that we know that we need to support to be able to be successful. India is doing well, right? So if you look at the country level, you look at the number of people from other countries making investments here, your own bottoms-up growth that's happening, all that whole ecosystem that I talked about before. That's all doing quite well, and then the deep relationships we have with those customers as they grow, right? We're having the opportunity to grow with them. So that's going pretty well, and I'm continuing to see growth from that perspective. On the other side, we are just seeing continued overall growth, and the way that works is it really comes down to growth in what. So is our on-site business growing? If so, then we need to figure out how do we hire more on-site technicians that can come do it? Is it something else? Is it growth in new services like System Cal or Test Asset Optimization? So it really then, based on what it is, what kind of growth we're seeing, do we make a decision on, okay, how much of that growth is this sustained, and then what investments do we need to make to be able to continue to help our customers to be successful in that area?